Retired pilot Captain James Walker told his son only one thing before he died: never touch the box in the attic. But when his son's curiosity got the better of him and he opened that box, he finally understood why his father had nightmares 30 years. Michael Walker, a 35-year-old engineer, was the only child of Captain James Walker. James Walker had served 30 years in the U.S. Air Force as a pilot, then transitioned to civilian aviation as a respected retired pilot. He lived in Roswell, New Mexico, and was known by his neighbors as a quiet, reserved man. However, for Michael, his father had always been mysterious, especially at midnight. There were times when James Walker would wake up from nightmares. "They're coming. I can see them," he would shout in his sleep-induced delirium. When Michael asked, his father would say, "Just old war memories, son. Don't worry about it." James Walker passed away at age 68 from a heart attack at the end of 2023. His funeral was held with military honors, attended by his old wingmen and commanding officers. A week after the funeral, Michael began cleaning out his father's house. James Walker was an organized man. Everything was in its place. However, when he went up to the attic, he saw an old wooden box in the corner. The box was locked and had "Private Do Not Touch" written on it in his father's handwriting. Michael remembered his father's last words: "Never touch the box in the attic." But curiosity prevailed. He searched for the key and found it in his father's bedroom drawer, along with other keys. When he opened the box, he found military files stamped "Top Secret Classified," radar images dated 1994, hand-drawn papers with strange shapes, an old cassette recorder and tapes, Polaroid photo, very blurry, but strange light formations visible, an old journal. First, he looked at the file. The cover read, "Operation Blue Sky, 1994. The subtitle read, "Pilot Captain James Walker." He opened the journal. There were notes written in his father's handwriting. March 15, 1994. First observation: "We were conducting a routine reconnaissance flight today. While passing over Alamogordo, an abnormal signal appeared on our radar. It was moving very fast, performing maneuvers that no known aircraft could execute. The commander sent me for close examination. What I saw was something not taught in any military training." March 20th, 1994. Second encounter. The same area again. This time I saw it more closely. Metallic, triangular shape, completely silent, far more advanced than our technology. When I approached with my F-16, it seemed to notice me and suddenly disappeared. March 25th, 1994. Official order. Today a team from high command met with me. "You will not tell anyone what you saw. This is a matter of national security. You will sign a confidentiality agreement," they said. I signed, "But I can't sleep at night." Michael started playing the old cassette. His father's trembling voice was heard. "April 22nd, 1994. Personal recording. I'm making these recordings secretly. If something happens to me, at least the truth will remain on record. Today I encountered them for the third time. This time they tried to communicate. I heard strange sounds on my radio. Not English, not any language, but somehow it made sense in my mind. It was a message like, 'We mean no harm. We are just observing.' I got very scared and returned." The recording continued. "My commanders are investigating these events, but don't ask me for details. It's as if they don't know what's happening either. Or they know but won't say." Michael looked at the photograph. Most were blurry, but some showed abnormal light formations in the sky. Triangular shape, very bright light. In the hand-drawn schematics, there were detailed drawings of the object his father had seen. Triangular main body, blue lights underneath, completely silent movement, very fast acceleration and stopping capability. In one drawing, a size comparison was made between the object and an F-16 fighter jet. The object was approximately 3 times larger than the aircraft. The radar images in the files were very technical, but Michael could understand them as an engineer. Objects moving far above the speeds of normal aircraft were in the records. One report stated, "Object accelerated from 0 to 1,800 miles per hour in 2 seconds. No known technology can make this possible. G-forces would be lethal for any pilot." At the bottom of the files was an official military report. Operation Blue Sky. Final report date, April 30th, 1994. Pilot Captain James Walker. Result: observation records classified. Pilot took oath of secrecy. Recommendation: matter should be closed, not to be shared with public. There was a note at the bottom of the report. Pilot Walker's psychological condition should be monitored. Observations may have had traumatic effects. Michael now understood his father's behavior. Why he had nightmares at night. Why he always looked at the sky. Why he remained silent when UFOs were discussed. One day, when Michael was a child, while watching a UFO documentary on television, his father had changed the channel. "That's nonsense, son. Don't waste time with empty things," he had said. Now he understood that his father knew the truth, but couldn't tell it. Michael didn't know what to do with these documents. documents. He began researching on the internet. Were abnormal air events reported in the United States in 1994? He found a few small news items in old newspaper archives. Strange lights seen over New Mexico. Pilot, I saw unexplained object in sky. However, these news items were very short and lacking in detail. It seemed as if they had been deliberately covered up. Michael remembered his father's old wingman, Major Robert Hayes, who had come to the funeral. He called him and suggested a meeting. When Uncle Robert met with Michael, he was very formal. Uncle Robert, do you have any knowledge about my father's duties in 1994? Michael asked. Uncle Robert's face changed. Why are you asking? Michael said he had found some documents. Uncle Robert became very tense. Michael, some things should stay in the past. Your father was a very good pilot, but he went through very difficult times during that period. What do you mean? Nobody talks about that mission. It's still classified. Your father never talked about it either. After thinking for a while, Uncle Robert spoke. Strange things were happening during that period. Not just your father. Other pilots were also reporting abnormal sightings. High command was very worried. Were they really UFOs? We don't know. The official explanation was unidentified atmospheric phenomena, but our pilots were making very clear descriptions. What did my father see? He never opened up about that topic with me, but he changed a lot after that period. He was constantly stressed, had sleep problems. Uncle Robert continued. After your father wrote his observation report, he was forced to receive psychological support because what he saw had affected him greatly. What kind of psychological support? Special therapists, the military's own doctors. The purpose was to convince him that what he saw was normal, or maybe to make him forget. Michael now understood why his father had therapy records. In the health files at home, there were records of regular psychological treatment between 1994 and 1995. Among the documents was the confidentiality agreement his father had signed. I, Captain James Walker, accept everything I saw, heard, and experienced between March 15th and April 30th, 1994, under Operation Blue Sky as a state secret. I promise not to share this information with any civilian, media organization, or family member. If I violate this contract, I may be tried in military court. The agreement was valid for life. Michael read the continuation of his father's journal. May 1994. At home, I'm no longer flying. I requested a duty change. My commanders responded with understanding, but I can't be comfortable at home either. I constantly watch the sky. What if they come again? My wife asks me what's wrong, but I can't tell her. Both I took an oath of secrecy, and she wouldn't believe me. June 1994. Therapy. Dr. Johnson meets with me a lot. He says, what you saw could be stress-induced hallucinations. Maybe he's right. Maybe I really saw what I needed to see. Michael remembered his own childhood. His father had never taken him out to look at the night sky. He would say, the night air is cold. You'll get sick. Actually, he had other reasons. Seeing the night sky reminded him of traumatic memories. He had never suggested that Michael become a pilot. Be an engineer. Keep your feet on the ground, he would always say. Until 2023, for almost 30 years, his father had carried this secret. He couldn't tell anyone. It stayed inside him constantly. Michael now understood why his father never traveled by plane, even after retirement. Highway is safer, he would say. Michael was now experiencing a great dilemma. What would he do with these documents? If he shared them with the public, maybe an important truth would emerge. But at the same time, it could cast a shadow on his father's memory. The confidentiality agreement was valid for life, but his father was dead. Was the agreement still valid? Michael consulted a lawyer. The lawyer said the matter was very complex. Such military confidentiality agreements generally don't end with personal death. They are in the category of state secrets. So what happens if I say I found these documents? If the documents are classified, even possessing them could constitute a crime. You would need to turn them in. Michael reread the documents. He now understood the trauma his father had experienced, the ordeal he had endured for 30 years, the truth he couldn't tell anyone. Finally, he read the last page of the journal. 2023. Final note. My son Michael, if you are reading these lines, it means I am no longer in this world. I would have wanted you to burn these documents, but at the same time, I want the truth to be known. What I saw was real. They were peaceful beings, but they are far ahead of our technology. I carried this secret for 30 years. Now this burden is on you. You decide, should it remain secret or should the world learn the truth? Michael thought for a long time. Finally, he came to this decision. He would keep these documents in his personal archive. He wouldn't immediately share them with the public, but would consider it when the appropriate time came in the future. He respected his father's memory, but at the same time, he knew that the truth needed to come out sooner or later. After Michael finished organizing his father's house, he moved that box to his own attic as a legacy to pass on to the next generation. At midnight, like his father, he began watching the sky. Were they still there? Were they still watching? And sometimes, Very rarely, when he saw abnormal lights in the sky, he understood the fear his father had experienced. The truth wasn't always that simple. Sometimes the truth could be heavier than a person could bear. James Walker's secret would now live on in his son until the time came. The most important lesson to be drawn from this story is this: sometimes people carry great secrets, but they cannot share these secrets with anyone. Military duty, state secrets, or simply the thought that no one would believe them. Michael's father had carried this burden alone for 30 years, and perhaps there are thousands of people in the world who carry such secrets. The truth doesn't always come out, but sometimes there are stories hidden in the past of people we love that we don't know about, and maybe there really are other beings in the sky besides us. We're just not ready for it.